It's time to start the session.
Okay.
Please give a warm welcome to eneim.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Thanks for coming here today. This talk is about ExoPlayer and RecyclerView. My name is Nam, and you can find me on the internet using this domain, GitHub user or Twitter user. Um, so today I want to talk uh, in this agenda. First, I want to talk about like why and how we have ExoPlayer in RecyclerView, and next, um, I want to talk about like a common challenges and approach with like known approach on these issues, and I will tell you what I think that is issues of those approaches, and finally I will tell you about my approach, my proposal, and there is a demonstration app for you to check it out. So yeah, I just told you before this talk. So this is the APK from Play Store for beta testing, and this is how my proposal works in practice. So I hope you guys will be curious and want to know how to make it. Um, okay, so first about ExoPlayer and RecyclerView. I hope many of you like familiar with them, but just to make sure, how many of you do not know about RecyclerView? Awesome. And how about ExoPlayer? Do not know about ExoPlayer? Great. So raise your hand again if you have ever worked together, like as a player in RecyclerView in practice in the production, and have trouble with that. Okay, I have one audience here. Well, actually, I have a lot of them, but okay. So I will go through this real quick. RecyclerView ecosystem happy to build something like this. It has well really like conceptual components, advanced as well as advanced components to help you build like not only like similar simple list, but also animation, decoration, and pagination to help you to save power, and also like selection, which is recently released, I believe. And I believe you already know that there is the view pager 2, which is being built on top of RecyclerView. It's really cool. On the other hand, ExoPlayer is a supercharged media playback library, totally built on Java, no system dependence. So basically, you can like you do not have to wait for like system update to like for bug fix or something like that. And this is just a part of the ecosystem. So from and in this slide, I show you a really simple source code to start a, a playback for a local video. So it can be this simple or it can be really complicated, depending on your use case. And the next question, the big question today is why we want to have ExoPlayer in RecyclerView. I believe most of you are familiar with Facebook and Twitter and many other like timeline style applications. And nowadays, their UX, including the videos in the list among other type of contents. And when you scroll, it stop and start like automatically. And furthermore, the UX contains some really cool like when you change the orientation, it will automatically open the full screen playback kind of thing. So like like Facebook and Twitter really big application, and followed by that there are like smaller application which already like which is adapting that experience as well. So I think the need is obvious, and because the like that kind of feature is so demanded, how to make it done right or at least like good, well, it's so important. Um, and in the last few years, I observed this trend like in 4 or 5 years lately, and I also see many like attempts to implement it in production, but most of them have something I am not happy with, like they manually handling the config chains, the orientation chains, many things, and I'm not really happy with that. Why? Like I will explain it later. So to start my discussion, I will start with like a 3.3 years old issue on ExoPlayer. It is in this link, um, 867 if you want to see. And it started in 2015 and it's not resolved yet by today. What is it about? They want to use ExoPlayer in RecyclerView as part of the overall license. Well, and well, in the last 3 years, I working on another library which address actually the same issue, the same requirement, and many of my like library clients ask me not only like videos on list, they actually want to have like video on RecyclerView, ViewPager, ScrollView, anything, and not limited to ExoPlayer, but anything that can play a video, and of course auto playback, and yeah, the full screen back and forth smoothly. And of course, because video playback is really expensive, they want it to be like network easily friendly, battery friendly, UI UX friendly as well, and a lot of things to think about, right? So why don't we take a look around about like current famous implementation? So first, let's start from Facebook. This one is, from my opinion, one of the best app ever built. They have really rich UI, UX, and it's still really lightweight. The scroll is really strong, smooth. Um, and yeah, they have by default our box play and pause on scroll. And well, I tried to investigate the app, and it turned out that you sort of dialog fragment kind of thing for the full screen. So when you use the old Android device manager, you inspect the layout. You can see two layers, at least two layers of them. One is the timeline underneath, and the player on top of them. So that is how I guess about this. And yeah, just like I said before, when you switch the rotation, it automatically bring the full screen on top of that. But something I'm not happy with that. So the config change handling is not really good actually, to be honest. And every time I change the orientation to trigger a config change, the video gets reloaded. The next app is YouTube, which is really famous. I think everyone knows about it. This is one of the best UX ever have. And if you try it really like, so for me, many times I have a really long phone right here. So normally I watch an Android video on YouTube. I open the multi Windows mode. I I put it to the top and open like Chrome underneath, and I read out the article because, well, you know, YouTube has the premium which allows you to play on the background, but I am not that rich, so that is how I have YouTube player playing while I can read other contents as well. And YouTube implement that really good, really well. They have the mini overlay player, which I will show you later. And yeah, when you change the orientation, change the windows, and well, many patterns, they handle it really well. And lately in latest release, they have the autoplay back on the on the home screen, I believe. But the point is, when you switch from that home page to the single player, it reloads the video. It's no point to doing so. And the last app, which is my favorite TV app in Japan, is Abema TV. I believe some of you working on this app, so it is my opinion, to be honest. So with the same mechanism, I think they use ExoPlayer with ViewPager together. And when you switch the scroll, they have like adaptive layout, which is really good. I think so. And what I'm not really happy with this application is when I'm on portrait mode, or even on landscape mode, I'm viewing a channel. I swipe it to the next channel, and when I swipe it back, it starts like reloading the video, rebuffering, and I see about like half a second of black screen. And yeah, I'm not happy with that as well. Okay, so we are done with market research. Now we need to wrap our head around um, yeah, how to make this thing done. Okay, so I need to come really fast on this because we don't have time. Um, so those applications they set up some like same objectives. First, the players on either RecyclerView, vPager, or anything else user can interact with, and yeah, just like I told you before. And this in fact can be single player. Most of the time, is only one player playing. But in some application I observe, there may be like two or maybe more player playing at the same time. Well, I have no idea how they if they do it on purpose, but yeah, it is out. It is there. So and the common UAs full screen back and forth, and this is what I expect the playback continuity. So when you change the scroll, change the orientation, well, like you manipulate your UI, it should not reloading. It should not like release and re-prepare the playback. It should be continuously. And some others like trivial tasks like auto hide and so thumbnail. And so let me talk about the challenge of this implementation from my point of view. First, Recycle is infinitely scrollable. That is the purpose of this view, and the view holder are supposed to be recycled. Well, I think any of you already know about this, and yeah, so you should not buy like a player instances like strongly with the view holder because when it recycle, you need like if you do not remove it, it will be like how I say leak. Yeah, so we need some like dynamic strategy for this, and view holder has the life cycle as well. It you can have this from the adapter callback like creation, binding, recycling. Furthermore, we have attaching and detaching the view holder from and to and from the window, and that is for RecyclerView only. When we combine ExoPlayer and RecyclerView, we need to like take into account number of instances you have at once. So if you think like I have 3 players on screen, I need 3 player instances, then it will be a burden for the system. And yeah, more player instances, then the lower performance. It will be the same for the actual UI. In ExoPlayer, it has a player view component, and internally it uses either surface view or texture view, or like surface like um, 360-degree player surface as well. And creating and managing surface is expensive. So more surface then worse the performance. But I am not really into the strategy of using only one player's instances because when you have that, I think Abema TV they use that technique, and then when you switch between player, it will need to re-prepare the playback, and so use some sort of delay, right? So in my opinion, too strictly control means the loss in the UX, which is not so happy from user point of view. Okay, so the next challenge is the full screen back and forth, and yeah, we need to decide when to show the full screen, right? So in the previous application we talked about, um, it can be like in either portrait mode or landscape mode. I will talk about it later in detail. And if we have the rotation, it is a chance for config change. So the next question is, how do you handle these config changes? And then it will be further question like, okay, I finished the rotation handling, but then there are other patterns of config change like multiple windows or entering to the car mode and getting out from car mode. Many patterns. It's like 10 or something like that. And yeah, this is the really important criteria I care about is the playback continuity. When you change to full screen and you go back, it should not stop, pause, or reload the video. Yeah. Okay. So next is I want to go really quick through one like common approach on the internet. So they use the player view and use the adapter to manage the instances and the media source. So when you on the on-by view holder, I believe, the, they will create the media source on demand and bind it to the view holder. And when the video like it in the will play mode, it will create a player instance and give it to the view holder. And when this view holder is like will pause or will release mode, it will like take that byte. Okay, and it rely on the code byte of the adapter or RecyclerView to manage the how I say to find the best one to play and decide one to pause. Yeah, and most of the time I see like the on the top will be play and other one will get pause. Um, yeah, but this approach like there are many things this cannot resolve. I think so. For example, yeah, the single instance is erase loss, and yeah, we talked about this before. Um, and in the visual life cycle, there are two core um, view attach and view detach from window. And from my experience, this callback is really how I say unreliable. If I have an article about this, it's not really good, but if you do not release the adapter from RecyclerView, there will be no on view detach from window callback for view and in turn there will be no like on view recycle for view. So I'm really curious about how we know when to release the resource if we just close the application, or we need to like manage. Well, that is what I observe from my experience actually. And yeah, this is a really big question. And in fact, reloading video when you're changing the form factor has some sort of hidden issue. I will talk about it next. So this one is really big, really important. I will want to discuss about it. So from now on, I want to call the full screen playback is single player playback because like um, it is a wider concept and it meets my how I say my opinion about how a playback should be, because full screen is like the video in full, but sometimes we see that it is half of the screen or it's just like a part of the screen with other contents below. So how many um, how many patterns we have on this full screen? We have on the same orientation, we have same orientation but in multiple window state, and we have in landscape. In fact, each of them, oh yeah, I forgot about this. In Android Pie, it's really hard to go into this mode. So if your smallest API level is set to Pi, you do not need to care about this because either way, the playback will be paused. So before that, we still need to handle that case actually. And yeah, so either of them will is a chance for config changes. The screen sizing, orientation changes, many things. And how you handle this will have like both uh, advantage and disadvantage. Um, so, for example, if you handle it manually, you put a manifest entry like screen size changes or orientation change. You do not need. So actually, the view system is not recreated. So you do not need to handle like playback resource recreation, reloading, something like that. But you lose the adaptive layout recreation of the UI, and I'm not that kind of. It's not my style, and yeah, we have a lot of patterns. So like I don't know how you guys manually handling config change, but in my imagine it should be like a lot of if else kind of thing, and the more if else, the more error to be like expected. Okay, so if we make it automatically, it will be like yeah, just vice versa. We have adaptive layout for each config, but we need some sort of like some sort of thought on keeping the playback continuity. Okay, so now I want to show you an example of how YouTube works and what is the like challenges on them. Start from this home screen. When you click on that button, it will open this in the same orientation. And the second problem is you click on the full screen button, it will change the orientation to this state, or from that like in the same orientation state, you just change the orientation of the device, it will automatically open this view. So uh, either user manually open the single player, or they just like accidentally switch the device, it will eventually open this landscape mode, and they are where the config change happens. Okay, and so aside of this, there are many other ways to open the full screen playback. Like you open a new activity, you pass the parcel of the contents and like start everything from over again. And we need to answer some sort of questions like how to keep the playback continuity. And when we come back, what we do on activity results. Okay. And the same, I see, well, in Facebook, for example, or in actual practice, there will be, they use dialogue a lot. So yeah, the same question, I believe. Okay. And we don't have time. The next issue is when you reload, it's some sort of high some issue with uh, I want to talk about. Okay, so first it is the like discontinuity of the playback, right? If even if you are in a really like good network environment, it will have some delay. And the next one is what I want to talk about. When you reload, it will do another new HTTP request or a new request to your server. And how you count that as a playback? Is it another new playback or is it the same one? So from like analytic metrics, it's kind of like a policy kind of thing, and I believe that it's not easily controlled. So from as user, I want to be like how I say, I play it in portrait. I just switch it the orientation. It should be the same playback, right? Do not count it as twice. And yeah, if you want to like prevent this, I believe that it should be something like if and else, and it's not really cool. Okay, so it is complicated enough, and we are go like most of our time, and there is not anything about my proposal yet, so it's time to talk about that right now. Okay, so first, this is my principle. I want to illustrate everything out. So I want to take the balance between the UX and performance. I do not hold only one instance, but I will keep as small number as possible, so it will not affect the UX, the UI. So sorry, it will not affect the performance in general, but the UX still as good as possible, because the device is like more powerful every day. I believe like there are like third world countries, we really need to care about them. So yeah, Facebook had like Facebook Live, Facebook Full, and yeah, we can think about that strategy as well. But in this case, let's think about like we have strong enough devices, and we care about UX as well. Next, I want to avoid reloading as much as possible. At least no config change, no reloading on config change, and yeah, I will design a like life cycle system to solve this. Okay, so this is the same application again. Um, okay, so next we go to the definitions of my system. There are three core concepts. Okay, there is the playable, which is a concept, an object that can be played, thing like an ExoPlayer instance. but it's not exactly the same thing. We have a target which a playable can be played on. So thinking like ExoPlayer play on a player view, then in this case the player view is a target, and when we have um, a playable instance being bound to the target, we have a playback. So playback object represents the connection between other two concepts. So yeah, we have the rule. I have the rule for this. One playable can be bound to at most one target. So when um, we have one playable rebind to another target to the same target, we have the same playback instance. And yeah, so when we have one player view and we have many playables bind to this, the latter will win. And yeah, if a playable is not in a bound state, it will eventually be cleaned up. This is how I clean up the resource, like unused resource. And these three things form a team that works together. So yeah, it must be bound to a target, and playback observes the target like a view state, visible, not visible, and it triggers the player able to play. So this is how I visualize the concept. Okay, so first we bound this and we create a playback. If I switch to this one, we create a new one and the old one will be destroyed. So thinking that on the screen you have two player view and you have one video, you are playing it on the first one, and when you switch to the second one, it keep playing. You do not need to like reloading the playback, the playable, and the old one just will be released eventually. Okay. So this is where I got the idea from. In ExoPlayer, you can like switch the player instance from one player view to another view. So it just keep playing, and I just abstract the player concept in this line, the player view concept in this line to be the playable and yeah the target. And we need something to manage them. So sorry, I do not have much time left, so let's go real quick. So okay, so we have a manager to manage all of them because we need to ensure that one playable be bound to one target. We need a manager to keep track of them, right? And all of them will be managed again by a string relation. String relation. So this string relation will observe player instances, factories, anything in Azure players, and anything in players, and like it observes the activity life cycles. And when everything is down, it just clean everything out. So there is no leak. And yeah, so here is how the team works together. The activity will be presented by the manager, and it just manages the playback which is inbound, and the application will manage the playable. Sorry. And okay, so 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 each of these instances should live like as long as possible. I want to reuse everything, but when everything is sorry, like not in managed state before anymore, we clean it out. And here is how it works in practice. I have a playable, I bind it to a player view, and I create a playback. Then the playback lifecycle got triggered, and then the consequences it will be added to a manager. And from that time, it will start listening to the UI system callback, and at the same time, it will prepare the playable. Like ExoPlayer prepare things, and then when the system say that this view is visible, it will say that the playback is active. And if this playback like meets some certain condition, it will play the video. And the same on consequently, if system say that this thing is invisible, we have the playback in inactive mode, and then we pause the video, and then eventually it will be removed, and At the same time, we release the playable, and after that it being destroyed, we also like do something with the playable. Okay, so really sorry I cannot finish this talk. Well, um, okay, this really cool thing. Uh, 5 minutes is okay. Okay, so I want to talk about this. So this is where the matrix happen. This is how I managed to bring the playable from one state to another state, even across activity, across a life cycle, and still make it playing without discontinuity. So saying here we have an activity from normal mode, and when you open it in multiple windows mode, it will be there in the left and on the right, right? So we have this flag set to true when it is changing the state, and the global synclaton observe the activity lifecycle callback, and know that this playable should continue to be played. So yeah, there is no discontinuity. Another example is when you open an activity uh, from an activity, and there is no like is changing configuration flag for us to observe, but luckily we have the lifecycle callback in really good consequence. So when we call start activity, the activity B will be created first, and it after it started, the activity A got destroyed. So it will happen like this in this consequence. So in that middle, we take the playable instance from activity A to activity B. Again, it will work like this in this timeline. So activity B create and start, and from that callback, we grab the playable. And then A stop, destroy, and we still have the binding between the playable on the new activity. So yeah, it does keep playing without any discontinuity. We hold the same thing for fragment, but it doesn't work like that. Uh, but there is this thing. When we set the flag to true, it will like mimic the same consequence between fragment. So when you from fragment A, you use the fragment manager objectivity, not the try fragment manager. You replace the container with the fragment B. It, with this flag to true, you have the same consequence. So the new fragment will take the playable from the old one, and yeah, it continue playing. And with that combined, we can have this kind of yeah, UI flow without any discontinuity on the playable. So saying you are from activity on the home screen, you click one and it opens the full screen on the same orientation, and then you switch this. It does the consequences of config changes and lifecycle changes, and because we have the really good consequence, nothing need to be reloaded with rebuffering. Yeah, and we are here. Okay, so okay. Well, so finishing this cross life cycle is really like 90% of my implementation. Um, I think I will keep talking about this in another chance, but the source code says everything in my head right now. So I will go right to the last one, which is quite far away. So you can have, yeah, it has another layer of abstraction in fact. So yeah, so this is the full picture of my implementation. Yeah, really sorry. I really want to talk about this. Maybe another chance. Yeah, yeah. Finally, we got everything cleaned up. Okay, and everything work in this one line. That is my how I say achievement for this. And calling this, you have everything set up, and calling this in the new activity, for example. Well, it does keep playing, and this is the source code for the this demonstration. This is only one activity in the application you just download before. And if you want to know the source code, just scan this QR code. Yeah. Actually, it is the name of this thing is kohi in Japan. It's coffee, and I forgot to mention I also use the RecyclerView selection library in this demonstration. But yeah, just go get it and figure it out. So if you have any questions, just ask me in the office hour and in the GitHub I showed you before. Thank you for everything. Thank you for coming here. Really sorry, but yeah, hope you have a really good like times. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for